Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is, welcome to the show. This is Trading with Livevol. My name is Stephen Choi, and this is where I trade my Reg T account, and I use LVX to trade because to showcase how I use the software to do actual trade and trying to make money. So I know for some of you guys are probably really sick of me talking about Shire, but as you guys can see, all my position is in July, so this will pretty much be the last day of talking about it. Basically, for those of you guys who don't know, they announced it officially. It got taken over by AbbVie. That they're going to recommend it to the board. So basically everything is official. It's not closed yet, so they have to go through a bunch of other stuff, but most likely it's going to close. And they have both come to an amicable agreement on the buyout. A lot of the sticking issues was the inversion tax rules that could possibly change in the United States due to the fact that I guess basically the Congress is not really liking the fact that all these companies are going outside the United States. So let's just go to the account. So if you look at Shire, I'm having a pretty good day, but if you look at Shire, I made about $9 grand day trading today, and basically my position lost 3. So when you guys remember this one, I did this one a few, I don't know, it seems like years ago, but this was my analysis on what I think was going to happen, right? So no deal was 10%, but I was going to buy some cheap puts. Nothing happens, or even loss, I would lose 12 to 14K, and the deal gets done, and then the stock will need to trade between these two was like 50%, right? So this was my original assessment, which it looks like now it's very coming close to fruition, but by no means was this assessment correct. So what happened was, once I made this assessment, I saw this AbbVie stock volume right here, when it should have sold off, and there was like over 30 million shares traded. Basically, they couldn't sell it off. So I had a feeling that when they did consummate the deal, AbbVie's stock price was actually going to go up, which meant that Shire stock price was going to go up as well. So this assessment was originally thinking that AbbVie was going to stay right there, but since it was going to move up, I kind of adjusted my position to have this to be like $5 higher, more like 262.5 and 267.5. And then that day, basically it got announced that the U.S. might change its tax laws or petition its tax laws retroactively to basically cancel all these deals, which shot it down, right? So basically what happened was, due to the threat, the spread went from, like, usually it might be 3% spread, but it's a lot higher. So I was checking out Medtronic and Covidien, and their spread is about 8%, but I thought they had some other issues. So sharing would be more like 9.35%, but I think right now, let me actually do the calculation. So AbbVie is 54.59. 54.59 times 3 times 0.869 equals 146.73, and then the amount of cash was I actually did this wrong. It was actually 24.44 pounds, which ended up being $125 roughly at the current exchange rate. It's 271. So if you look at Shire, it's 257 over 272 maybe, right? So 257 divided by 272 equals 94.4. So what happened was basically instead of this being 97, it ended up being a spread of 5.5% instead of 3% because of the uncertainty on the law. And then, but AbbVie's stock just rocketed up, which made this deal price more valuable if you're a Shire shareholder. So that combination drove it to this price roughly. But so the positive and the negative canceled each other out. But in the end, this analysis ended up being correct. But there was one positive, one negative that actually offset each other. So I think if those two news weren't part of it, this would have been correct 100%. But no deal goes out smoothly. So it is what it is. As for me, this morning when Shire opened, was actually trading 250. When I was so I was looking at this for those of you guys. So I was actually looking at this. Its London exchange starts at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I kind of woke up at around 1, checked out where it was. I realized it wasn't trading that high. So it was trading. Let me go to one-day chart. Right, so it was actually trading around here, right? So it was pretty low. I thought, my position was right on because I was selling these straddles. So yesterday I sold the 250 and 255 straddles, which now you don't see. But I sold these thinking that it was going to end up right around 253. But this morning, looking at AbbVie stock, it just looked like they couldn't sell it down, right? So they were doing this, and then they had this pop, and when they had this pop, I had this feeling like it was gonna go up, not only because of AbbVie, but because the whole market was on an upswing, right? So the whole market basically had this, and then it was kind of doing, kind of deciding it could have gone back down, but it actually looked like it was going back up. So. So what I did was basically started buying all my calls back. So if you look at if you look at all this, I started basically closing it down and buying it back. I'll short this. I'll short this. I bought this back. As you can see, I didn't buy the July 50s back, but I did buy the July 55s back, and then I bought the July 45s for around 9:30. So that's basically what happened. So once I realized it was going up, I just started buying the calls back and trying to limit my risk. And so my day trading was pretty good. My position lost money. In the end, I think I made about, if this amount holds, I probably made about 33K in sharing, and I guess I've been just, which is pretty good, I've been kind of buying these back to lock it in. So if you look at my risk chart right here, this is my risk chart, and I'm gonna run this one ball so it can simulate the expiration. So this is my expiration right now as it stands. So As you can see, I'm pretty much, if it ends right here, I'll probably lose another 1,500 bucks. That's in these, the 60s that I'm long. But other than that, it's pretty much flat. So I can pretty much walk away with around $31,000 or $32,000 gain in this whole sharing. So I'm pretty happy with it. I was very nervous the other day. If you guys saw my my decay, it was like 15,000 on sharing, so it was pretty dicey. But in any case, it's been pretty good. It pretty much made up for my losses in LO. So LO, I was actually still thinking of the takeover, but it ended up being like 63 bucks or something. I don't even know exactly, but it was pretty bad. So I lost about 7 grand that day. Overall, I didn't do too well. I probably lost maybe 10 grand total in Reynolds and LO. IGT, basically it went up, but I did sell some calls against it. So I think this one ended up being kind of a push overall. Maybe I lost a couple of thousand. So I would say probably lost a couple of thousand. Maybe can make some back if I start writing some calls against it. Not sure if I'm gonna. Maybe I should buy this 25 back. All right, so now I don't have to deal with that one. And I'm going to try to sell 25 at 40 if it gets there. Probably won't, so I'm not going to worry about it. But basically, I shut down the IGT and I'm rolling it into August, selling some calls. But basically, I have these as my anchor. If anything, maybe I should just sell the 14th out, but not sure exactly what I'm gonna do. But that's my IGT position, which ended up losing a few grand. You guys know about Mankind. I was doing really well, and then blew up in my face. So I lost 6 grand there. So I lost in Mankind, lost in Reynolds, lost in L'Oreal, lost in IGT, or reasonably flat, and the ones I made money was on Shire, of course. Also, I had a pretty good run in Hillshire brands when people were bidding, and then I have this going on right now, TRW, which is working out pretty good because it's up. I'm not sure what I'm going to do exactly. I almost feel like my upside is kind of capped, so I should almost, maybe I should just sell. I need to close this somehow. So I need to actually be I should try to be 5 for try to be 5 for 350 bid to close it out, so I don't end up with any stock position. But I might have to raise it a little. I might have to end up paying 360. Let's see where the stock is headed. Yeah, so they had this announcement that the German company might actually pay up to 13 billion. Let You know what? I'm actually gonna just gonna pay 360. All right. Oh, I got one. So hopefully I'll get filled on the other. If I do, that'll be pretty good. Now this is pretty much an ARB. So if I saw this on the floor, I would definitely do this, right? So I basically, right. So basically it took somebody a little time to figure out. But they just made 50 bucks off of me by doing this trade. They basically bought stock for 103.50 and sold these for 360, making 10 bucks or 10 cents 5 times. So they made $50. So that's TRW. There's a couple of others that when I started looking at this, I think there's some opportunities. AGN, you know, Allergan is going on this hostile takeover. I think the bid is like 172. I'm gonna look more into this Covidien and MDT because the spread is pretty wide. I think right now it looks like I think the right price is like the takeover price is $95 or something. So it's a pretty wide spread. There's a couple of other issues going on, so I might look into it. And the newest one is TWX. I mentioned it briefly about it. Not sure exactly what I'm gonna do, but it looks interesting. So they got, supposedly they got a bid for around $83 or $84 from Rupert Murdoch. This to me seems very similar to when he took over the Dow Jones. People were, I think, up in arms, and really there was no other bidder except him. And this actually seems like it's almost exactly the same. Maybe there is a chatter that maybe Disney or somebody else might step in, but most likely it's just going to be him and Time Warner who's going to decide. The funny thing is, I think most of the shareholders who own Time Warner also own Fox. So I don't know how that plays into it, but this looks pretty interesting, so I might look into it. But in terms of the ARB situation, it's not so clear. It's not clear cut, so it's not as appealing as Shire was. Because you don't know how long it'll drag out, right? So that's what I have. I talked to you guys a little bit about Family Dollar. The Family Dollar, basically Carl Icahn bought it. It jumped to like 68 bucks. The funny thing, the problem is the most likely company that would buy this company is losing their CEO, Dollar General. So that puts a little twist on it. And then I think I read today that PetSmart actually hired some bankers to basically look at, possibly selling the company and also defending it from activists who basically bought the stock. Now it's $70, and now they're basically saying that they should sell. So we'll see how that goes. So that's about it. My trading is pretty clear right now. So one thing that happened was I was selling all when the market. So let me just kind of. So I had this scare right here, and then the market didn't look that great right around here. So I started selling all my calls because I had about, I think if you guys look at the video, I probably had about 15 position where I was long the market in some way, shape, or another. And I kind of started getting nervous, so I started selling some. And then, as you guys know, I follow the Trader Minute guys. And then, for whatever reason, this was day before yesterday, the head trader Jeff decided to just go all in cash. So basically, that I was selling already, but then that pretty much just convinced me that I should just get out. So basically, I just got out of everything pretty much, except like my long standing positions. And then so that's why my positions are so small, and I'm gonna just start fresh. But this is my account right now, and yeah. So in the last month, you know, I made about 6,800. Looks like I might make another 8,000. So maybe, but since I started, I guess I was up like 7. Yeah, so I might be up like 22,000 since I started in February. But I've been having a pretty good uptrend here, and I'm knocking on wood that it continues. So for now, it looks like I'm going to be pretty benign because I don't see any immediate positions to go into, and I'm in a lot of cash right now. So I'm sure that'll change eventually, but for now, I'm pretty happy with the outcome. The thing that I wanted to point to is in these, you know, I was talking to you guys about all these stocks that I traded. If you guys notice, I probably only made money on 2 and lost on like 4 to 5 so far. But in the end, the net, I think I'm up like 20-some thousand from those exchanges. So it's not so much how many you win, it's how much the end result is. And one of the things I told you guys I love about trading options is you can take your shots, but with options you can limit your losses, right? So if you do the right kind of ratio in terms of like your chance of profitability versus how much you're risking, there's some, you know, you can hit some home runs and make a lot of money to overcome everything else that you lost. So, you know, I can just imagine if in that instances, I've had times instead of going 2 for 7 or something, I can go for like 4 for 7 because every trade I go into, I'm like, you know, in my mind, even though odds-wise it's not 100%, I just truly believe that I'm going to make money on all those trades. Otherwise, I wouldn't go into them. And once in a while, you get on a streak where you'll be right, like 4 out of 7 times, 5 out of 7 times, instead of which was only 2 out of 7 times. And that's when you can, you know, my trading account wouldn't be at 140, but it would be like at 200, right? So that's kind of what I'm, obviously, that's kind of what I'm shooting for, is that at one point that I'll get in the streak where I can actually make like 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 on all these, you know, like 3 out of 4 stocks instead of 1 out of 4, and then that's how your account grows dramatically. And as your account grows, you get stronger, right? So if I was making $10,000 bets that I had a chance of possibly making like 40 but losing 20, you know, but only my account was at 100, that puts it a lot riskier than if your account gets to like 200 or 400. So as this account grows, your chance of making like 30, 40,000, risking 20,000 becomes a lot more palatable because your account is just that much bigger. So if you lost like 3 or 4 in a row, it's not going to be devastating, right? So that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is get my account big enough where if I'm making these bets like I currently did in Shire, I'm not like sweating bullets trying to figure out every step of the way. Now, I'm still going to be massively involved, but obviously in terms of your comfort level, it's not the same. Now, there could be, the logical question would be then, Stefan, why are you betting this large? You should actually scale down, which is true. I think that is one way of doing it. I guess it kind of goes with me being impatient. Plus, if I'm going to put in that much effort and time into actually figuring something out, I guess I didn't want to spend all that time and end up making like $500, right? So if I spent an enormous amount of time reading about Shire and this deal, probably read about 250 articles at least once, trying to get little nuggets out of them. And that kind of gave me confidence to make this 9,000 today, because I knew what the situation was, and then so I was comfortable making these trades. You know, so like walking away with like 32,000 after putting in all that effort to me seems worthwhile. If I walked away with all that effort with 3,000, doesn't seem that great. So that's just me personally. I don't know. I guess officially, if you were to educate somebody, you would say, hey, look, just take it slow and bet small, right? So that's the prudent way. I'm not actually saying that I'm the most prudent guy. As you guys know, my P&L fluctuates greatly, which is probably not really in the playbook for most people who are actually teaching other people to trade. I guess I'm not trying to teach you guys to trade. I'm just showing you how I'm trading. And this is just how I trade. So I have some huge fluctuations, but I do understand risk and reward, and I'm trying to get this account as big as possible, and you can't do that really in my mind, or I don't know how to do it by trying to make a few $100 every month, right? So even if I had a strategy that made me 30% over the course of the year after expenses, that would be fantastic, right? If I had $1 million, if I have $100,000, making 30,000 means that you would still need another job to basically finance it. So I'm trying to get this up as fast as possible, so essentially I can make some bigger amounts without having to risk everything. So then it'll be a lot more normalized once this account gets larger. But I hope so. A lot of the things that I do is, at first I was using the order flow to do my risk. To find opportunities. So this software is awesome for finding opportunities, and then I'm always checking. So even though I'm not talking about all the order flow, I'm constantly checking the order flow, seeing who's buying what, why they're buying it. Yesterday there were a ton of rolls because people thought that maybe they might delay it, but reading all the articles, I kind of felt like they're not going to delay. They're just going to go ahead. So all that stuff is, I'm still doing it. The thing I use the most in this is my risk chart, and the huge advantage of using LVX is I can quickly model stuff out. So I can say, like, how would it look if I bought 50 more of these, and then I can look at the risk chart. And you can see the P&L difference right here versus the risk chart, and you can say, oh, hey, that's too much. I don't need to do that. Let me just change it to 25, and then it makes that adjustment. Oh, let me sell 25 of these. How do I look? And then let me buy 10 of these, right? So you can do all that, and this thing is constantly updating, which gives a huge advantage, in my opinion, when you are dealing with trading, being able to model out your positions very quickly, right? Because on the other ones, you're always like it's pretty good, but you're always kind of like clicking in a trade, and then you have this like huge laundry list of all the trades that are that's in your position, and then you have to like subtract some, add some, and to me, like being able to say like, oh, 10 is no good, 11 is no good, let me do 12. Right, being able to be like this fast and nimble and doing your position is just invaluable in terms of when you're trading. And it's one of the things I like a lot about the software, and it's why I use it, is because, and I use different parts of the software as I need it. So on Shire, the biggest one was basically the risk, because I had to make sure that my risk chart was in line. Sometimes I look at the order flow when I'm trying to generate ideas. When I see like stock going one way, I'll look at the skew to see where the risk is. So here it's obvious that the risk is to the downside. So there's so many ways you can use the software to kind of help your overall decision making, and it's pretty awesome. And basically, you know, there's one thing to kind of show you guys how to trade, but what I'm actually doing is using this exact software to try to make money, because I think the proof is in the pudding, right? So right, so if I can make money using the software, and I'm willing to take this kind of positions because I truly believe the software is correct, it's kind of I guess what I'm trying to imply is this isn't, I'm not doing this just for show, right? This is like I really believe this is the best software around, and it is why I use stock charts, right? I don't try to push. I'm not trying to say Livevol X has the best charting, because it doesn't. And even though I get flack in my company for using stock charts all the time, I just have to use something that I believe is going to make money, and you guys should do the same. And to me, LVX is the best equity option software around. So so this will be my last most likely, I won't say my last, but most likely my last post in Shire. If you look at the blog, every time it's been Shire, 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 so I'm sure you guys have been kind of bored and sick of me talking about it, but it's over, and I'm gonna pretty much go on to the next stock. But hope your trading goes well. Hope you guys have a nice weekend, and I will talk to you guys on Monday. Take care.